Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at uranium energy. It is time for another update and it's been a week, but we have managed here to squeeze into the area of resistance, the last level once again, and we are looking for a break here above the $12.4 level, yeah, a sustained break for a signal that this structure to the downside is most likely done, that it is not going to extend any lower. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are still tracking this idea of a series of 1-2 setups that have formed, and now we are looking for the larger wave tree to the upside. This is going to remain for now the primary scenario, but I do have to mention, for the large time frame, I do have a secondary scenario which honestly is probably just as likely for now. It is more in line with the general market sentiment, but I'm not saying that this couldn't form the actual wave tree to the upside in a more direct fashion. Although, even if we are to consider this to be as a 1-2, 1-2, and the third, I would still probably prefer this structure to form an additional 1-2 setup in this area, yeah? I don't necessarily have high hopes for the blue scenario, but since it is technically still possible for us to be tracking this structure to the upside as a series of 1-2 setups in this area in the blue interpretation, I am going to still allow it, especially as long as we hold here the area of support, which extends down to the $10.6 level, which honestly we only managed to break here briefly. We only got a couple of weeks below it. Yeah, even here we did open below it, but it was an immediate recovery into the area of support, so nothing significant, and I would have needed anyway for a full invalidation here a break below the beginning of the wave 1 around the $9.2 level. Now with this said, we are still looking to push higher in this overall structure as long as we hold here the $9 level, yeah. Even if the blue scenario doesn't work out or even gets invalidated, we do still have the white scenario, which is probably the preferred interpretation for me anyway, where we are tracking either a leading diagonal or an ending diagonal within this structure, where we have a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, a third wave up, a fourth wave down, and we are looking for the fifth wave to the upside. Now, even though this isn't even the exact structure that we were tracking from the beginning when we started covering this chart around this area, we had very much success within this structure to the upside. We were able to get like 10 or actually even more successful trade setups, and we were able to determine quite early that this structure was going to come to a topping area, yeah. We were looking for a topping area ever since before we finished this movement to the upside. We were looking around the $13.8 level for a top to be formed. We managed to exceed it slightly, and then we were considering a top. We were prepared for the large retracement, but still we managed to push even higher, and once we formed this additional top, we still had a full count, yeah. We were prepared for the larger retracement into these exact areas of support. And yeah, since this is the case, it has been clearly the right approach to be skeptical of direct extensions higher from this area, yeah. We were looking quite early for the retracement ever since we formed here this top, since we were looking for a full structure within this area, and we have gotten it. Now, in this structure to the downside, I actually prefer that if we had already bottomed, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily even like to see additional lows. We do still have room for an additional low, but it would really not be a preferred scenario for me. For me, I would like to now start the fifth wave to the upside in the white scenario, yeah, ideally the blue scenario if possible, but again, not the most likely interpretation. But I would still like to push here into new all-time high territory within this direct movement, yeah. And in the previous video, I had provided you these interpretations in yellow and white. So for the yellow scenario, we were looking for possible extensions even lower, where we had the resistance levels up to the $12.4 level, which has been a level we pushed into in this supposed wave B, where we were prepared for an extension to even another low in the wave C in yellow. Where in the white scenario, internally we were tracking here a possible 1-2 setup where we had the area of support down to the $10.5 level, which we also pushed into and only managed to wick below. So clearly there was a fight going on in this area, and there is uncertainty about which structure is going to succeed. Yeah, if the bears win and succeed in getting an additional low, or if the bulls win and form this third wave to the upside, this supposed wave 3. Now, since I also want to mention that since in this initial low that we were considering the wave 5 bottom, yeah, this is the wave 5 bottom if we don't necessarily get an additional low, but since it opened in the pre-market and recovered so quickly, I am actually open to the idea that this may have been a truncation to the downside, and that we could consider this the actual wave 5 bottom, and that we may be even able to look here for an internal 1-2 setup where, yeah, this wouldn't be the 1-2, this would have been indeed a B and a C, and we could be looking for the bottom in this place and start the next wave to the upside from this area. But I don't necessarily have evidence that this will indeed succeed. Now, what I want to focus on in this video is this level of resistance, the $12.4 level at the 78.6% retracement in yellow. This we need to keep in mind that if broken, it will be a signal that this structure has likely bottomed, that we aren't going to extend any lower within this wave 5 in yellow, and that we can consider a bottom here within the larger correction. And we are, or I should rather say, these areas of resistance and support in yellow and white are still relevant, but I don't want to keep them here on the chart right now because they would clutter up what I want to present you next. So we will keep them hidden for now, because what I want to focus on is this internal structure to the upside, which could easily be considered a 5-wave pattern. Yeah, if I am to track this, I could consider this a 1-2, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then this would be a fifth wave to the upside. I could see further extensions possible, but I don't really need any additional highs within this area to consider a full 5-wave pattern. And even though it is on the very small time frame, I am ready to consider this a possible ABC pattern that could form the larger structure to the upside. Now, again, this would be an ABC within the larger wave 3 in the case of this being the wave 1 and the wave 2. And yeah, then we would need ABC. If we are to consider this the correction bottom, I would consider this instead even a possible 1-2 setup, because in that case we have a 5-wave structure and we can be looking for a wave 1 to the upside, not a wave A. Yeah, in this case it could be a wave 1 as part of a large leading diagonal, but then I would need to consider this an ABC movement to the upside. Now, with that said, what we need to focus on is the levels of support between the 38.2% retracement at the $11.6 level all the way down to the $10.8 level at the 78.6% retracement, where as long as we hold here these levels of support, we can still look for at least another high within this area. Now, I can even add here this additional area of resistance to watch out for, but we will only really keep on the chart the 78.6% retracement in this case, because I want to focus specifically on that level. Yeah, we have pushed into it the second time. Yeah, this was the first time, we have pushed into it the second time, and if we manage to break it, it would be quite a nice signal that this structure is likely going to succeed in forming the new high. And yeah, I don't necessarily expect to push directly above it right now. I could easily see a retracement into the area of support before this happens, but I basically don't want to keep everything on the chart. So what we will focus on now to make it simpler and easier to follow is, once again, I'm repeating myself, this is to make it clear, the 78.6% retracement in yellow up to the $12.4 level, and the area of support in white, which as long as we hold, we don't even need the other areas of support, or the other area of support which allowed for this 1-2 setup. Yeah, as long as we hold here this one, that one is not necessary. It can still push into those deeper levels and be allowed to be tracked through that scenario, but right now this interpretation can still work out even in a more direct fashion in either a 1-2 setup or an AB setup. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.